Hi, I'm Katie Felix, a kindergarten teacher. I've had a lot of people request of me to make videos about how you would start in Microsoft Teams with kindergartners. I've used Teams since the start of Teams. I'm an MIE expert and I just love using it with my students, thank goodness, since we went to remote learning this past year. I am going to make this video just about how to start with Teams meetings with your little ones because that whole idea is very overwhelming for most teachers. And it was for me, and it still is. So if we can work together and figure out ideas, we will be more successful. Today I'm going to show you how to introduce yourself to the families and then be showing the basics of how to use Teams with your kindergartners. So I am using my Tacoma Public Schools Teams. I have one team called Felix Fam, and I have my family in this team. This is one of the ways that I help teach my kids how to use Teams. To be honest, it's also how I kept track of their Christmas list because I wanted them to use Class Notebook to get used to that format, and they went really wild and learned a lot of features just by making a Christmas list. And I also use this as my testing ground. So right here, I'm going to have a kinder meeting. Yes, I've clicked in and out of that a couple times already today. So I'm going to hit that, and you're going to see what pops up. So we're going to hit join. So this is where your camera is off and on. This is your microphone off and on. And then I can hit this right here. And when I hit that, I have the choice of different backgrounds. So my usual situation is I'm upstairs. I have a hallway right behind me, just where the office is. It used to be a dining room. I then have a set of stairs that go down right behind me. You'll be seeing kids going up and down if I didn't put my background to something like this. The one issue with that is my hand disappears. If I'm trying to show them a book or show them an item, it might disappear. My kinders always did better if I had a background like this. But then you have to be really thoughtful about what is going on behind you. I do have a cord right behind me over there. I'm in the basement. My lighting might not be the best, so I'm going to be working on that. It's just something I'm going to try this year. You can also add new backgrounds. You don't need to teach your families about that, but it is sometimes fun to pop up different backgrounds like Toy Story and such. So now I'm going to hit join now. We're going to wait for it to connect for a sec. And then I'm just going to point out some features for you so that you can see what it's doing. So right here is turn camera off. This is to mute. This is your share button. We're going to talk about that in a minute. This is more actions. More actions has a lot of different choices, including show background effects. You are going to want to show your families that one. Turn on live captioning. That one's a great one for the deaf and hard of hearing. It's not always completely accurate though, and it's in English only at this point. You have a start recording. My school district does not allow us to record meetings. We also have end meeting. That is going to be one of your key features, and we're going to talk about that at the very end. We have a raise your hand. So when the raise hand happens, my hand is raised. So when I show participants, it usually is alphabetical order, but whoever just raised their hand is going to pop to the top. Along with the raise hand feature in here, you will be able to, if I had other participants in here, I could mute each individual person. One of the major benefits of being able to do that is the child doesn't know that there's background noise behind them. I would not just automatically mute though. I would say, hey, your brother's being a little loud. Can you mute yourself? And we're going to talk about how we teach that. I then, if they don't fix it themselves, I may mute them. If somebody's dialed in though, don't mute them because they will not be able to say anything. There's no way to unmute them. I do not have the capability to unmute somebody because it's a privacy concern. So Microsoft has not given you that. There's also the chat feature, the conversation. I will be completely honest. I only had one child who used this on a regular basis. I would say first grade on up can do the typing. The child that I had that did a lot of stuff, she loved to use emojis. So things like the heart, and notice it moves all around just like the sun. I love the sun one. We know kinders love emojis, so it's right there. You don't have to teach them about that though. Sometimes they'll find it on their own. They're very witty. So here's what I would like to show you. When I have my first Teams meeting, And I would say actually the first couple Teams meetings, I said, oh, hey, you guys, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to hit desktop right there. And it's a lovely picture of me right now. And notice it all disappears. All I do is go back to the bottom and I hit Teams, and there I am. I'm showing the screen. So what you will see is the Brady Bunch of your students, because Microsoft's going to be at 49 participants popping up very soon, and you will be able to share what's going on in your screen. So they may be distracted by each other's faces, but you will be able to walk them through this. I would not necessarily talk about the turn camera off, but if you have older students, great thing to talk about. The mute button is what I'm going to show them. I'm going to go, you see my hand right here? It is pointing. It's pointing to the mute right there. So let's hit mute. And I want it to look like this. Notice when I speak, it says your microphone is muted. I want your line to be like that. But what I would really do if I was on with them is I'd say, you're going to hit this. Notice there was a line there. Let me show you one more time. Okay, make sure that you mute yourself because we can hear the noise behind you, because as you know, you'll hear any little sound that's made around that house. Notice this has an X here, so it would be your stop sharing. I would also show them the, oh, you can do background effects. Let's see what that looks like. And then I would model how to show background effects. There are a lot of things happening in children's backgrounds that you might want them to be able to block. This feature only works though if they are using the Teams app. It does not work online. And many of our families do just use the online because they have multiple people doing Teams meetings on the same device. I would then show them raise hand. I would not tell them that it pops them up at the top. Personally, like when I'm doing show and tell and such, I like to do alphabetical order. And because we were at the end of the school year, my kids would go, oh, Mrs. Felix, if I hit raise hand, I'll pop to the top and you'll call on me. They figured out those pieces because they noticed those patterns. So just know that raise hand, it'll pop them to the top. I would probably also teach my kinders to raise their physical hand, especially if you are able to have a second screen. So if you can have your Teams meeting here where you're displaying things and you have another screen. So I brought home my second screen from school. I put it up and I could see all my students there as I was sharing other things up here. I'll do another video just about sharing items and what I love to share on the screen that works well with my students. So I hit this to stop sharing the screen. And you would have seen that more if I had had multiple people in this meeting, but it's just me. So the way that you end your meeting when it's all done, if you hit this, you're just hanging up your line of it. And think about this as multiple phone lines. Those other people can be talking to one another. So what I'm going to do to end my meeting is to hit this and go end meeting. The students don't have an end meeting like we do. And I'm going to say end. So today we just reviewed how to start with meetings with your families. One of the things that one of my really good friends had up is she had a piece of paper behind her and she had the routines on there. So she had mute yourself, how to raise your hand, and she had the logo. She had all those details. So you need to be thinking about what are the things that you're going to expect, the norms, just like you would do posters around your classroom. What are the norms of your meetings? It might change over time. Know that you need to build that routine though. And if you throw that routine, the kids might fall apart. That friend had a time that somebody else was doing the meeting for her. And it was actually for district training. The kids were crying. They were upset. She told me to stay unmuted. And grandma was doing an awesome job and going, you're supposed to mute yourself, because they were based on the routines. Before I even do a meeting with the students, I think I'm going to be meeting with all the families and build those routines. Show them all those details. I will then show all those details to the students that first time, maybe the second time, third time, fourth time. It will just be feeling out the students. But by building these routines, you're going to have more success online, and you're also going to have a lot more fun with the kids. So I will be doing a lot more videos. Let me know what you want to learn, because there is a lot to learn for this year. Thank you.